Welcome to the Service Guys podcast. This is producer Rouge Abadam, and we have our service professional Lonnie Beecham on the other line. Today is a first episode of the podcast, 2019. Happy New Year, everyone. Happy New Year, Lonnie.
Happy New Year, Ruel.
Today, we have a special guest, and why don't we introduce him?
Yeah, Gary, tell us a little bit about yourself. We're kind of throwing you in there real fast. That's how we roll.
All right. Well, my name's Gary, known on the No Sugar, No Grains and on some podcasts as the Senator, due to a risque photo that got sent out to Miss Anna one time. Okay, it wasn't totally risque. I did have underwear on. I started following the podcast probably 7 years ago, 7 years ago, right when it started, probably within 10 episodes in. And it's a small world. Vinny and my business partner knew each other from high school. So I just started emailing Vinny thinking I got an in on it. And we started talking back and forth. And I shared my story. Basically, when I was a month shy of my 40th birthday, my best friend, who was also 40, had a stroke. He survived. Everything's okay now. But I was also on vacation, and the hotel I was in had a fire drill, and I could not make it back up the stairs. So decided to step on a scale, and at 6 foot tall, I was 297 pounds.
Wow.
Yeah. So had to do something. So, looking around, decide, Weight Watchers, shakes, whatever I could figure out, trying to drop some weight. And I decided I need to start educating myself because nothing was working. So I found the podcast and adopted that lifestyle and went from 297 on May 1st down to 189 by January 1st.
Look at you. And now you're feeling confident enough to send underwear pics to Anna.
That's right. Yeah. So as one of the progress photos I took, I used to take my pictures every week in the bathroom. And one of the progress pictures I took, I was like, oh, this is awesome. So I emailed Anna the progress picture, and it just so happened to resemble Anthony Weiner.
All right.
Yeah. So that's where the Senator nickname came from.
Right.
Yeah.
And Gary, when you introduced yourself to us, you didn't tell us that your last name is Hand. I bet you never had any jokes about that growing up.
Not in the last hour, no.
Not in the last hour.
Man, it's so bad when I order lunch out, I get notes on the bags. Here, let me hand you a fork. Let's give you a hand. It's pretty common.
Good.
Yeah.
So, Gary, tell us about your professional life. I mean, the old timers, and I don't know how many people listen to this silly show of ours that would know your name. The reason why we're here together on this podcast is you and I kind of hooked up about a month ago when you were desperate enough to pay a crazy amount of money to get a copy of Anna's cookbook, Eat Happy, sent to a sister-in-law.
Yep. So,
and that's how we got to talking and comparing notes. And tell us about your service business.
Yeah, my service business is home and small business security systems. We install, monitor home alarms, business alarm systems, cameras, good, fun, interesting stuff like that.
And what's the name of your business? We got to get you got to send us your links and stuff in the show notes.
If I sure will. It's LA Alarms, based in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. And we cover from Lafayette, Louisiana, all the way over to the Alabama border.
Yeah.
So we're Louisiana and Mississippi.
Yeah, and like I told you the first time we spoke on the phone, you don't have that weird Cajun Southern accent. I mean, you do have a little bit of an accent, but when you said Louisiana, I figured you're going to talk a lot funnier than what you do.
Well, I think I appreciate that. We'll go with that. Now I'm originally from St. Louis, and Dad moved down to New Orleans when I was 8 or so, and you would figure being down there that young, I would pick up the accent. But really, when we was down there, I hung out with my uncle and my cousins a lot. They were from St. Louis also, and really didn't get into Louisiana culture until I was in my mid-teens after they left town. Then since then, I've lived Georgia, Alaska, and other parts of Louisiana. So I tend to move around a lot.
Gotcha. But now that you have a business, you can't just uproot and move.
Nope, I'm here now.
You're a pillar of your community, I hear.
We will go with that.
So what got you into the service of providing home security cameras and alarms and stuff?
That actually interesting story. I was Mom had her own business after I did the military. Get out of the military, went to work for Mom, and Mom decided she was selling the company. And when she sold it, she took my brother and I aside. We're 20 years old or so. And she says, I'm going to pay for your place to live. I'm going to pay for your college. I'm not going to pay for anything else. Like, oh, okay. So I decided I'm going to start driving a taxi cab at 21 years old. What's a better thing to do? And I realized I'm missing a lot of LSU baseball games by doing that, working those 12-hour shifts. So I pick up the newspaper and I see an ad, giveaway home security systems earn $500 a week. Heck, at 21 years old, $500 a week's a lot of beer. So, so I go meet the guy and we sit and talk. And so I tell him, look, I'm only looking to make about $500 a month. This is just. And he leaned over the table and says, son, if you don't make $500 a week, I'm going to fire you. It's like, okay, the gauntlet has been dropped. Within kind of top sales rep, early 20s, making $2,000 a week back in 25 years ago. So that was a lot of money.
Yeah.
And broke it down to Mom and said, hey, look, I'm making $100,000 a year. I'm not going back to school. She said, okay, your rent payment starts tomorrow. Like, okay. So worked that for a while, and then moved companies to take over a sales manager position about an hour from Baton Rouge. So I moved to Lafayette, ran an office there for 2 years, and then decided to buy my own company. And a partner and I bought a company. We ran it really successfully for about 3 years until he decided that putting stuff up his nose was more important than working, and got out of the business for a year or so, and then got back into it 15 years ago now.
Wow. Well, you know that's written in the contract in partnerships that one of you has to snort everything, all the profits up their nose. That in every contract.
Yeah, that one was. So my new business partner is a strict Catholic, so I appreciate that. That's the one that does Vinny. So those crazy guys from Donaldsonville don't do anything out of the ordinary.
No, sitting there having blue ass drinks on the front porch.
Right.
No, nobody does that.
No.
Just so you know, that's not exclusive to Louisiana either.
Okay. Yeah, wasn't aware of that.
We just don't have drive-through daiquiri machines that you just tap it on your way through and leave $1 on the counter.
Yeah, well, what they did is they enacted open container laws. So we can no longer drink an open alcohol container while we're driving. So what the drive-through daiquiri shops did is like, okay, well, if we put a piece of tape over the straw, it's no longer open container.
Right. Or leave the straw. We had a place like that for many years, and they would take the bottom 2/3 of the straw off of the wrapper and shove it in the cup, and there you go. And that's how they got around it. So. Yep,
that makes sense. Yeah, the ones here would put either not put the straw in it, or they would put tape over the top of the straw.
Mm. Yeah, they went in
trouble.
Nobody can get around tape. That solves all problems.
Yes. That a good roll of duct tape will solve a lot of issues.
Well, I was just telling Ruel a couple shows ago that I carry all the first aid kits and all the stuff and gauze in my vans and stuff. But when it gets down to it, we just slap a Band-Aid on it, throw some Gorilla duct tape over, because nothing's gonna. When you're working with your hands, nothing's gonna stay in the creases. That's where we always get cut. Webs of our fingers, webs of our thumb in the palm on the creases. Well, you can't put a Band-Aid and gauze and wrap all that crap around your hand and still try to function. Now, obviously, if it's a gaping wound and needed stitches, and that's an automatic trip to the emergency room. But by and large, we just slap tape on it and go back to work and wipe the blood off, and there you go.
Yeah, and just roll
duct tape.
Well, Gary, you were also telling me.
I'm sorry.
Ruel started talking.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'll stop talking. Go ahead.
Well, Gary, you were telling me last time we spoke that you were in the real estate business for a while.
Yep, I did that. I did when I
still got a license, but not actively selling,
correct.
Right?
Yeah, I still have the license. We still have the company. I've got a couple reps that work for me. When I took my break from alarm business, I got into real estate business and 10 months after I got into the business, I opened my own firm up. And shortly after that, I was actually on the cover of Realtor magazine as one of their top 30 realtors under 30 in the country. And then, just hired a whole bunch of realtors working for me. And, it's not as much fun sitting behind a desk working real estate as it was actually out selling it. Lots of ups and downs with that, having people work for you out selling. So, things changed, and we decided to keep that company open, but opened up the alarm company. And when we did the alarm company, that's when it just took off. And doing real estate full time anymore just didn't pay off.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, around here, realtors can make some pretty decent cash.
Yeah, well
the 80-20 rule is in full effect, though. I mean,
absolutely.
20% of the realtors make 80% of the money, and vice versa.
Yeah, our market's a little bit different. Well, our average price of a house isn't really high. It's in the mid to low 130s, 150s, in that range. So you're not. And when I was selling, the average price was right around 100,000.
Gotcha.
So it's not the big commissions that you're going to get on some $300,000 houses every day.
Yeah, my average house around here is like 186,000, I think.
Yeah.
Which I don't know how they figure that, Gary, because, I got a population base of like 50,000 people, and I forgot how many, I read the same demographic stuff that you do making business decisions, and I forget how many average single-family residents we have in this town. But a lot of my clients have multi-million-dollar homes. I mean, like one that I work for, we have a website for the county. You can just punch in any address, and you can see what the assessed tax value and, what they pay in taxes every year. So one of my clients, I was obviously kind of nosy, and they pay $2.5 million in property taxes just on their house alone.
Wow.
And you might understand, appreciate this one, but so the first time I was ever in their house, they had a mold issue, and I started geeking out in their electrical room, which is bigger than my master bedroom. They had seven 200 amp panels in their house.
Wow.
And then I start looking around outside, and they have 8 separate air conditioning condensing units out back. And it's like, wow. And around here, if you have 2 outside condensers, that means you're sitting in pretty high cotton. And they had 8, and it's a 17,000 square foot home. And it's like, wow, I couldn't even imagine. So I just look at like those houses, and they're not the biggest house in the neighborhood. They're one of them, but there's a whole neighborhood that's the crappiest house is still $750,000. And then you look at our average home sale in Jeff City, Missouri, is like 185,000 or something like that. So
where are those bottom ones coming from?
Exactly.
Yeah. So, well, around here, just give you an example. Les Miles, the LSU football coach, said is moving out of town now. He's selling his house, and it's $1.5 million. And
wow.
It's an expensive house, but compared to the rest of the part of the country, a guy making $4 to $6 million a year is going to buy a much nicer, more expensive house. But for $1.5 million here, that's the equivalent of $5 to $6 million other places.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah. Well, and even going out into LA, and you look at those houses, the times I've been out there, and they're like, Vinny's like, well, see that house right there? That's about $1 million house. I'm thinking, man, it's smaller than my $160,000 house. Wow. But that's just a different market, different demographic.
Yeah. And Louisiana is not depressed on real estate. New Orleans is the complete opposite. New Orleans, if you can find anything for less than $400,000, you better buy it.
Oh wow!
Yeah, New Orleans real estate's insane.
Wow.
Yeah, it's probably on par with the rest of the country.
Bigger cities always have bigger cost of living.
Well, I got a good story for you. I sitting in the office the other day. Customer calls me up and says that her motion detectors aren't working right. That's what we put in the houses to pick up body heat to determine if everything seems like it's working right. She's arming the system correctly, but she just swears that they're not working. So I send a service tech out there, and it's maybe a mile from the office. So he calls me and says, Gary, you need to come over here and look at this. All right. So I load up, I head over there, get in the house, we're talking to her. She's probably 90 years old. Sweetest thing. And she is just convinced that these motions aren't working. And the reason she knows they're not working is because she has ghosts in her house and they're not picking them up.
Wow.
Yeah. So So we had to explain to her that ghosts don't put off body heat.
Did she buy that?
Yes, she's very happy now.
Well, good. So, and then you go back to the office and start scrambling the fine print, thinking now I got to build in verbiage about not being able to defeat that ghost.
We're not going to pick up paranormal activity in the house on the motion detectors. Now the cameras would see things that they moved. Motion detectors just aren't going to pick it up.
There you go.
Yeah. The other good story I had, we do these doorbell cameras, so that you've seen them on TV, Ring and whatnot.
You're right.
If you have a Ring, check your terms of service. Came out today in one of the trade magazines that some of the Ring engineers are watching your inside cameras.
Oh.
So, yeah. Now, I don't have any evidence of it. I'm repeating what was in the magazine. I'll send you a link to it if you want to read it, but it's rather interesting what the Amazon engineers are doing on the Ring cameras. So we do these doorbell cameras, and they're two-way voice, so you can hear what's happening at your door. Customer calls me up, and he's very thankful for the doorbell camera. I'm like, oh, okay, great. Because, you never get the phone call thanking you.
Right.
Right. It's always the phone call how something doesn't work. So, just curiosity, I'm asking him now, man, what happened to make you so happy? And he said, well, I recently married. My wife has been acting weird. Every time the phone would ring, she would, every night she'd go out and talk on the front porch for 15, 20 minutes. And he just thought that was weird. So he decided to listen to her conversation from the doorbell camera. Ended up, she was setting up a date with her boyfriend.
Oh.
And they didn't do a prenup, and she's worth $1 million.
Oh.
So he was very thankful.
I can see that.
Yes.
I can. So, whoa, back up. So she was making phone calls?
She was getting phone calls from the boyfriend, or making phone calls. I don't know which way. But she would go outside on the front porch to talk to the boyfriend. So the husband was on his smartphone watching the doorbell camera, which is also two-way voice. So he was hearing his wife's side of the conversation.
Interesting.
Yeah. So we hear some interesting stuff.
I bet. Wow. I wouldn't have ever dreamed there were stories out of alarm company.
Man, one of my other favorite ones is a customer called me up, and this is one of these higher end houses, $300,000-$400,000 house, calls me up, and the name of the street is Beverly Hills. To tell you how the subdivision goes. Calling me up, and she says, every time she pulls in her driveway, her alarm goes off. And I'm thinking that's really weird because we don't install anything on driveways. So I'm asking a question, peeling the onion, and I ask her, is it whenever you raise your garage door, because maybe there's a sensor on the garage door, and that's setting off the alarm. She says, no, Gary, it's as soon as I pull in my driveway, as soon as the tire hits the driveway, I can hear my alarm go off. Like, okay, that's weird. So I look at the signals because, to see what's going on, and I said, well, look, you have a door in your master bedroom. That's what's triggering the alarm every morning at 6:30 a.m. I have never heard a woman cuss this bad in my life before she hung up on me. Calls me back a week later and explains to me her husband had a girlfriend spending the night.
Every time the driveway, she was running out the back door.
Yep, that's what was happening. So, yeah, we do catch the. These are the fun stories. We've got situations of the not so fun ones where husbands and wives use their spouse as punching bags, and panic buttons save those lives or relieve that situation. We get more of those than we'd like to hear.
Oh no, that's crazy.
Home invasions, we hear those more than we like to hear. But those
home invasions,
home
invasions when people are at home, that one scares the living crap out of me.
Yeah. We do panic buttons at every house we do install at. So there's a silent panic and there's a panic that makes noise, plus a fire and an ambulance panic. So the way it's set up is somebody kicks your door in. A lot of times you're not sitting at home with your alarm system on, but with this panic button, you've got a chance to press this panic to get the police over to the house without actually having to call anybody.
Wow.
Yeah.
And I don't sit at home with with a pistol in my lap either.
Well,
I got several pistols, and they're in vehicles, and they're in just about every room of the house. But yeah, they're not always right there.
Right. And you just got to get to them. So, that's part of the things, we tell people about the cameras. The cameras we install can give notifications. So somebody pulls in your driveway, it can notify you on your phone. Somebody walks across your yard, it can notify you on your phone. So theoretically, it's just situational awareness. So you're sitting on the couch at 10 o'clock at night, and all of a sudden you get a notification that somebody's walking across your yard. Where I live at, that's going to trigger me to like, okay, who's in my yard?
Right.
Generally it's going to be a neighbor or a dog. But if it's not, at least I know somebody's approaching my door prior to them kicking it in.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So Gary, let's back up a minute and tell us about your day. I mean, sounds like you got field guys and you're more office administrative, or do you go out and sell? I mean, what's your day look like?
Yeah, what I do is I look at my job as bringing in business so that my guys can make a good living. I don't actually do any customer-to-customer sales. Unless it's somebody I've known for years, I'll go take care of them. But generally, my day consists of marketing, handling phone calls of inbound customer leads, talking to them and setting appointments for my guys, or networking. I do a lot of networking, and we've got a builder that we do a lot of business for. And I spend a day or so on the road every day visiting their neighborhoods, training and talking to their sales representatives.
Okay.
So that's my normal day. My business partner is more the operation side. He does the billing, the budgeting, the installation side. We've got a manager that handles service. So we like to call it a white glove treatment. Somebody calls and they need anything. They know there's one point of contact, and he's always there. So they can talk to him, and he's familiar with the customer base, and he's familiar with any reoccurring issue. He can jump right onto it and get handled.
Gotcha. So they don't have to press 1 for somebody in India and press 2 for somebody in Pakistan and press 3 for somebody in Bangladesh?
No, you call me, you get a person every time.
Good.
Yeah, I've got one person in the office that has voicemail only because she does collection calls. Other than that, I don't even have voicemail at my desk. I don't want it. My phone rings and I'm not there, or if I'm on the other phone, my business partner or somebody else in the office will pick up.
That's good.
Yeah.
So if a listener or just me and Ruel wanted to use your service, can you sell outside of your area, or do you have to have?
Yeah, our industry is very regulated and licensed. Lots of licensing laws. So I'm only licensed to sell in Louisiana and Mississippi.
Okay.
In the process of over the next 90 days, hopefully to be in Alabama and North Florida.
Wow.
So,
okay.
So we're my goal is to take over the SEC.
There you go, or give them a headache, one or the other.
Yeah, one of the two.
So that means satellite offices, or trying to run everything out of your office?
The way we're going to do it, we've had multiple offices before, and we've gotten to where we run corporate out of Baton Rouge, and most states require a physical location, so we'll have that, but it won't be sales managers and installation managers per se. We'll have everybody call the Baton Rouge office, and local representatives will be the sales staff, service, and technicians.
So they'll work out of their house then, or out of the truck, and
mainly
ship them their components once a week or as needed.
Yeah, probably ship to the office. Then go to the office and pick up what they need, and use the office as a warehouse and drop point for equipment and paperwork and whatnot.
Gotcha.
But yeah, wouldn't run full offices out of those locations.
Well, if you're gonna have shipping go there, then doesn't that require somebody to be there to receive the shipping?
Well, a lot of times what happens is our distributor has 26 locations across the country. Mm-hmm. So we would have to see if he has one in that area, and we would pick up there once a week and just drop it off at the office.
Okay. So they'd have to manually go and physically drive and pick it up. And
yes.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
And satellite offices, that comes with a lot of headaches and nightmares.
Yeah, it does. We've done it before. One time we had 5 satellite offices all across Louisiana, and we learned through those growing pains that we're just better off running everything out of Baton Rouge, even if that means I'm hiring another service manager to handle a whole other group of customers. I would rather do that and have them work in my office to where I can see what's going on, and they, have community instead of working in the building by themselves. So we're leaning towards the Baton Rouge office would have the staff that runs everything, and the local offices would just be the service, installation, and sales employees.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, you start getting satellite offices and losing control, and then people will find every loophole to embezzle or hook their friends up with free services or.
Yeah. Oh, I got a story about that. We had an office in Alexandria. It's 4 hours away, but it's North Louisiana, and we had a sales manager that he was a missionary, so assumption is that he's a good guy.
Yeah.
Ended up writing, the office was doing gangbusters. We couldn't believe how well he was selling. And we sell a high volume. So when I see a high volume going on, it really interests me to see what's going on over there. So I went up there and started going to some of these houses that they're selling, and they were selling, we require home ownership because it's a 36-month agreement. But they were selling Section 8 houses. Apartment units, yeah. So slaps them across the hand for it, and obviously these people don't pay the bills, and I'm now getting a $200,000 bill from my finance company wanting all their money back.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah, so that was a hard one to buy. So then I go to press charges on the guy for stealing because most of the money went in his pocket through a variety of other things that he was doing, and he skipped town to Mexico.
Oh,
yeah. So
wow.
So no recourse. He got away with it.
Oh.
But that's the danger of satellite offices. You got to really be on top of them. We install cameras in people's satellite offices. There's a big company here in town. It's a service industry company also, and he runs it out of his house. But he's got an office here in town that all of his employees work at. We've done a full camera system there, and he can watch his employees in the common areas, kitchen, break room, whatever, from his house. To make sure they're legitimately working and not sitting there goofing off all day.
Well, that's one of the things I tell my guys is like always ask permission to use their bathroom. Like we're working inside people's homes or offices, and so I'm like, be prepared to pinch it off. Always ask to say, may I use your bathroom? They'll always say yes. I've only once had a person say no. But I teach my guys like don't assume that the bathroom is good to use because everybody has weird handle jiggles or something doesn't work and they know it doesn't work, but we don't know it doesn't work and stuff like that. But also, not only do I tell them like be courteous and respectful of their home, but also don't do anything that you don't want caught on camera with all these hidden cameras and tiny cameras and teddy bears or whatever else. Just always assume that you're on camera. So don't even go in a room that you're not, authorized to go in. If the water damage is not in the master bedroom, under no circumstances ever go down the hall to the master bedroom for any reason.
Yeah, no, that's the way to do it. And generally we have to go in just about every room of the house because we're installing contacts on the windows and whatnot. But it's like we had a situation, and my guys, I tell my technicians, well, half of their job is to covering themselves, make sure they don't get issued or anything. But we had a customer call us up and said, hey, your guy stepped through my attic. And the guy that he claimed did it is one of my really good guys. If he messes up, he claims up to it. And he never said anything about it. So we actually approached him, like, man, did you step through this guy's ceiling? And he said, no, actually that hole was already there. And my guy actually took a picture of it, and it was time stamped at 9 o'clock in the morning when the job started. So when we told the customers, like, we took a picture of this at 9 o'clock in the morning, right when my guy got to the job, when he checked out the spot, there's never said another word about it.
There you go. He was up there and he wanted to blame it on you.
Yeah.
So are people doing covert, I don't know what you call it, covert cameras? I mean, is that as prevalent as it appears?
A lot of that stuff is more do-it-yourself type market. I mean, you can buy the teddy bear cameras you were mentioning and nanny cams and stuff like that. the DIY market is real big on that. If you're looking for something simple, I try to tell people that when we put cameras outside your house or your business, don't conceal them. Make people see them. Deter. That's the whole reason. There's different levels of protection. The first level of protection we install in your house is your sign. Let the bad guy see that sign and realize that, okay, that's going to be a pain to break into. Not only when I break in the house, or the cops on the way is making a whole bunch of noise, why mess with it? Now you've got neighbors looking outside. If they go to the house next door that doesn't have a sign, that's an easier target. So I try to design stuff to where they can see the cameras and see the signs. That way they just don't bother the house.
Well, I know a lot of businesses will put those fake cameras out there, just a flashing red light. Do you think that does anything?
If it's got a flashing red light, it's a fake camera.
and the thieves would know that.
Yeah, I've never seen a real camera that flashes. You'll see some infrared cameras that at night you'll see some redness on them, and that's the infrared light bulbs. Other than that, you're not. Some cameras have a green light on them that says they're powered up, but if it's a flashing light to make you notice it, odds are it's not a real camera.
And I'm sure the thieves would know that. So,
yeah.
How much does an infrared camera run?
We generally, our package runs around $1,500 for 4 cameras and a 1 terabyte recorder installed with warranty.
See, I use infrared cameras in my business. It detects heat, as you know. So, like everybody thinks fire department and, electrical engineers and stuff like that, but we use it on the flip side. So when we see blue, that tells us to investigate deeper in that area. And it could be anything from missing insulation to a piece of sheet metal behind the drywall to truly wet areas, and kind of blows people's minds when I walk in and, I got a $2,000 infrared camera and I can scan your room in seconds and then go deal with it and, find it in this corner and find the source. And especially on the mystery water losses and water leaks, people don't know where they're coming from. Find them within 30 seconds.
Wow. Yeah, much different than my cameras. Ours are mainly meant to light up to where you can see it in total darkness, so you can see people. And it's you still see skin tone. Some of them have gotten to where they are color night vision, but most of them are black and white night vision. And they just use infrared lights to eliminate the picture. And they work. The ones that we sell, which of course you can go nicer the more money you want to spend, but the ones that we generally sell are about a 30-foot range. And if you really think about it, around your house, 30 feet is probably enough.
Oh yeah, that's what I get in my neighbor's yard.
Yeah, and that's usually enough. And we try real hard not to record your neighbor's property. Now I'm installing cameras at your house. If you tell me, hey, I want to see my neighbor's yard, not my yard, I'm not. We just tell you no, we're not doing it. We'll aim it on your property. You can do what you want when we leave because they're your cameras, but we're not aiming it at your neighbor's house. And then when we set the recordings up, there's certain angles. Like at my house, the way my house is designed, you can't record my driveway without catching my neighbor's driveway. It's just impossible.
Yeah, there's a certain amount of that you have to do.
Exactly.
Like you couldn't just solely get my yard.
Yeah,
at my house.
You're going to catch people across the street. You're going to catch all that. But as a default, we don't set up any recording on outside your property.
Gotcha.
Now, if you go in after me and you change it, that's on you. I'm not going to be the one that's recording your neighbor's house.
Well, Senator, I have a question for you.
Mm-hmm.
We've all seen those. Real, I'm sure you're sitting in the shadows, being quiet. We're dominating this conversation. Sorry about that. But we've all seen those news clips where the surveillance camera in the convenience store. If you've seen this guy, please call Crime Stoppers. And you look at that, and it's just like you couldn't tell who it was. No matter how. I mean, what's up with that? How come they don't have better cameras? Or is that just the quality of the camera? Is it positioning or?
No, it's generally budget. I can get you a camera to see 1,000 yards at night and read a license plate, but you're not going to spend $20,000 for it.
Right, not for every.
Yeah, so generally those convenience store cameras, it's really a deterrent, because if you've noticed lately, we're putting in monitors where when you walk in the door, you see it.
Yeah, I like seeing that you can recognize my face, but I've seen those little blurbage on local news, and it's like, well, either A, it could be anybody, or B, you can't tell. You couldn't tell facial features no matter what. And then when they walk in with the hoodies, and if you've seen this guy and it's just a generic, St. Louis Cardinal jersey hoodie, right. It's like, well, that could be anybody.
Yeah, that's camera placement. If you notice, a lot of cameras are put on ceilings or at the top of the walls. That's why you get the top of the head angles. That's one of the reasons I'm a real fan of the doorbell cameras on your doors, because they're generally right above waist level. So when somebody goes kick a door in or just test the door to see if you're home, you're going to get a good image of their face. Whereas if you've got it up in your eave, if you're shooting down, you get the top of their head.
So it's lack of skill or lack of knowledge on knowing where to place these cameras in.
Well, it's a happy medium, because the business owners don't want you to take up shelf space either. So what we generally try to do is we'll recommend, and some people don't do it and a lot of people do, is we'll recommend putting 2 cameras behind the cashier, so that if they're holding up the cashier, you're going to get an eye level shot of the criminal. And the reason we do 2 is just in case one is being blocked by the guy getting robbed.
Gotcha.
So we try to recommend that, try to recommend 1 at the door, and then a couple inside the store. It just comes down to budget. Some guys will want 16 cameras put in, and they want the big monitor so everybody can see it, but they really don't care if they can see anything, because they just want to deter you from doing anything. And I get that, and that's a lot of our installs. Usually, like an office, when you've got the secretary that's worked for you for 10 years at the front door, those are the installs that spend money to try to catch whoever's doing something wrong, because they're vested with that employee. It's not an employee who's just coming and going every year.
Right. I know years ago I used to do ride-alongs with the cops, and if either one of you haven't done that, I highly recommend it. And is it eye-opening to spend 2 to 6 hours with a cop riding around the front seat? But we had this gas station, and it was right on the corner of a bad neighborhood, and they would have all these drive-offs. And man, we would go in there every time I ever rode with the cops. We always went into this gas station for a drive-off, and every time the cops would tell him, sir, why don't you just turn your gas pumps to prepay only? And he was like, no, I don't want to, deter my customers from coming in. But he's like, you're losing hundreds and hundreds of dollars every week. It would just pay for itself. But the reason why I'm telling you about this gas station, now they had the most state-of-the-art security system. And we'd always go in the office, and right there on the monitor, I mean, you could read everything plain as day. You could count the coins in the ashtray even. Wow. I mean, they could zoom in, and it was crisp and clear. So instead of just, hey, I'm sitting there thinking, hey, it's good to have security, but you could probably have scaled back on the quality that you paid for if you had some of the, just pay at the pump at like every other gas station in our area.
I don't think I've been to one that didn't require pay the pump or cash.
Yeah, very rare, very rare. There's like one in every county, it seems like, and it's just odd anymore. Yeah. So at this stage in my life, I never carry cash. I'm fortunate, I'm blessed that I've never been, so broke that I got to count the change in the ashtray to, put in a, $1.27's worth of gas or something, But yeah, it's all prepay now. You either walk in with cash or you hit the machine with the debit card, like civilized folk do.
Yeah, it's not even an inconvenience because it's just expected now.
Right. Well, and it's an Indian-owned place, and so we all know that they don't make, and gas stations don't make money on the gas per se. It's the soda and the lottery tickets and the chips inside, and then that's the other reason why he didn't want to do prepay, because he wanted you to have to come in. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I get it. I think that's part of the reason I was able to lose weight is I stopped going to the gas stations.
There you go.
Yeah, gas stations have actually gotten decent selections now if you like cheese and pepperoni.
Yeah, not so much. I'm not a big pepperoni fan. So while I have you ever dealt with a restoration guy?
We've got a company here in town that does the crime scene cleanup.
Yeah.
And he sends us referrals. We send him stuff occasionally. We don't see as much as he sees. They usually call him before they call us. So we've dealt with guys like that. But as far as carpet cleaning after floods and stuff, we really haven't hit that partnership yet.
Even in your real estate selling days?
Not really. No, I'm guilty. I'll say no.
Yeah, well, you're lucky because I can't tell you how many jobs I've, houses on the market's vacant. They're doing their second or third walkthrough, and they walk in to find a river of water flowing through their house, and then we get that call, and of course they want it done yesterday. It's like, well, we can only work so fast. We can't dry it in a day. Unfortunately, it's by the time they've waited a week to walk through, and usually there's a lot of demolition that we have to do and dry out and ripping out carpet, and then it becomes sticky. Who pays? And obviously, it's still the one that owns the house. And I was just wondering if you've ever had a deal with a guy like me, especially in your real estate days. But
no, not really. We have had many customers who have had issues like you're talking about. Put a water bug. It's a device we stick by your hot water heater in the pan and the air conditioner that catches if it's going to overflow. Yeah. So we've done some of those and put some in utility rooms and whatnot to try to catch issues before they become issues.
Yeah. Has that ever? Have you ever saved anybody a lot of damage with that?
I couldn't tell you yes or no. I've never had anybody call and complain and say it didn't catch something, but I don't really know how prevalent water leaks are in houses that cause damage.
Oh, it's there's a whole industry based on it.
Yeah,
multi-billion-dollar industry.
Yeah, apparently. So yeah, it must happen a lot more than I think it does.
But it happens for a whole host of reasons. Like one of the things people don't realize, like your garbage disposal is not really designed to get the big chunks of meat and the potato peels and the onion peels and all that. So a lot of, I'd say 80% of what we do is homeowner's fault, let's say.
Okay.
Stuff like that, where they'll just try to grind up everything, and then it backs up and floods through floor drains, and then now you've created a sewage problem, which is a health hazard. So that's not a quick, easy, cheap date. That's a very expensive, costly date.
Yeah.
Or I've had things like a mouse ate through a plastic water line, just ate through the house, and within 2 weeks, 38,000 gallons of water ran through that house. Or two simple things like people don't know how to shut off their water and toilets overflow, and but then again, things just freeze or break or wear out, and of course, when it's pressurized and it wears out, then you get a big spray of water everywhere, and that's what we do.
Yeah, man. Guess I'm blessed. I've had to deal with that yet.
Oh, you will. Statistically, everybody will.
Wow. Well, I've had houses flood, but they were through rain and creeks backing up.
Sure. And we deal with that too, but unfortunately that's not covered by homeowners insurance, and then you got the whole FEMA or federal agency for flooding, and that's a whole different animal. We deal with that too, but technically that's all supposed to be ripped out, and you start telling somebody that, sorry about this creek that's never flooded that's now in your basement, but there's no insurance coverage, and we have to rip everything out from the 4-foot level down, and you have to replace it. And they're like, oh, we can't afford to do that.
Yeah, it's nasty.
So I'm like, well, you can spend some money, you can invest some money now, or wait for it to become a moldy mess and invest a lot more money.
Well, insurance will cover it then, right?
No. Actually, some will. Most won't.
Right.
And if an insurance company does cover mold, I have only seen one company that carried more than $5,000 in coverage, and $5,000 on a mold job barely gets us in the door.
Wow.
I mean, one air scrubber for 5 days is $1,000.
Yeah, that's that ion machine.
No,
that's
ion. Yeah, it's an air scrubber machine. An ion machine. You're probably thinking of ozone.
Yes, that's what I'm thinking of.
Yeah, that's we don't use that in mold remediation at all. That's in your organic odors. So cigarette smoke, dead animals, wet dog smells, stuff like that, or fires. Gotcha. Fire damage, we utilize it in fires, but not for mold. One study years and years ago in a very extremely controlled environment showed a slight decrease of mold contamination with ozone, but it was at a ozone level that is impossible to mass produce in any home or office across the United States. So some doctors saw that and they jumped all over that. So, oh, well, if you got mold, you gotta pump it full of ozone. And I, about once a year, I'll get a customer call, and one lady called 8 times begging me to come put ozone in her moldy house. And she goes, well, my doctor said, and I was like, well, I'm sorry, your doctor is great at heart attacks, broken arms, sinus infections. He's not trained and certified and licensed in mold remediation. That is not an acceptable remediation practice. And, but my doctor said, I'm like, ma'am, if you want ozone, you need to call somebody else that doesn't know any better and let them set it, because I can't do that in good conscience.
Yeah, or somebody just want to take her money.
Right. Well, it was a renter situation, and landlord wasn't paying, and she's, it's sad, and I felt bad for her, but I can't go just pump ozone in there and call you good, not knowing what I know. And actually, ozone, people don't realize this. Sorry, I get off on tangents from time to time, but people think ozone's lightning in a box, and it's supposed to be an air purifier. But if you actually read the MSDS sheets that for material safety data sheets on ozone, it is very extremely dangerous to breathe.
No, I've heard that before.
Yeah, it causes more problems. I mean, it's from simple as a sinus infection to nasal bleeding to chromosomal damage to your gonads, and like giving you children with birth defects, and it is a poison. It will kill you. And
wow.
And I'm so chemically sensitive to it. I smell a whiff of it. I have a headache for hours that I can't get rid of. No amount of pain reliever will knock it down. I just got to suffer with it. I don't actually utilize ozone on anything. I got much better stuff to treat odors than ozone.
Yeah, I imagine so at this point.
Mm-hmm. But I'm extremely sensitive to it, so that's why I don't even own a machine. Not going to.
Yeah, I think if I get headaches, I wouldn't own one either. I wouldn't want to deal with it.
No, it's just painful. It's like, maybe it's like a migraine. Maybe it causes migraines. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Real, you still with us?
I think he took a nap.
Oh,
he must have.
No, I'm here. I'm here.
You're sitting there on mute?
Yeah. Listening to a podcast.
Is it any good?
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Good.
Well, we're getting close to the end here. You've already shared a few stories. You got any other crazy stories or stories where somebody did thank you for something wonderful that you did?
Let me think. Nothing comes to mind right now, and I'm sure as soon as I hang up, I'll come up with 10 of them.
Well, you've come up with a few good ones. The ghost in the house, and lady cheating on her husband on the front porch, and
I had one where a lady was convinced that people were living in her attic, and that we let them in when we came to do her install. And after a technician went back up in the attic just to see what she was seeing, we found a nest of squirrels, and she was convinced that really wasn't a squirrel nest or whatever nest squirrels live in. She was convinced that people were living in her attic, and they were coming down at night and eating. So
wow.
So we ended up having to call a rodent guy, and I think we actually paid to get the rodents out of the house for her.
That might be better, just to make it go away.
Yeah, I think that's what that one was. And it ended up being a good referral partner for us after it was all said and done. I didn't realize that bug exterminating guys would be that good at sending business to us.
Oh, really? Never thought about that.
Yeah, well, they're in a lot of new homeowners' houses. People buy a house, they get termite, they redo the termite contracts. I don't know if termites are a big deal up where you guys are, but
oh yeah. So you know what I've learned from talking to you, Gary?
What's that?
Louisiana is filled with the crazy people.
I think we have them all.
I mean, ghosts and well, catching somebody cheating. I mean, that happens everywhere. But letting people move into their attic, and I mean, those people are mentally disturbed.
Yeah, I think they both were, and
You think?
Yeah, I think they were, and I don't think the families either cared, saw it, or just didn't have the means to help them, so they just let them wallow.
That's sad.
Yeah, it really is. We get to the sad situations where we've had older ladies and older men, just people in their 80s and 90s, whose family has written them off, and they need protection. And then whenever we go out to put it in, it ends up finding out that the grandson was at the house, and he argues us to death and doesn't let us put the system in. Whereas, we've had one where ladies getting their Social Security check stolen, and this is 10 plus years ago. It's all on direct deposit now.
Right.
But back then, she'd get her Social Security check stolen all the time. And the grandson would not let us put a security system in the house.
I wonder why.
Yeah, I wonder why. But it's just some of these things you just can't do anything about.
Yeah, that's too bad.
Yeah.
Well, I'm getting up on. I gotta switch gears here. Will, are you still there?
I'm still here. I'm just looking for poop images on the internet.
Okay.
All right, guys. Great talking to you.
Well, yeah, and it's a pleasure to actually bring the voice. And I know you've been on Vinny's podcast about 1,000 shows ago.
Yeah.
But those that tune in to this podcast, I think we'll get some benefit out of listening to you. We learned a few tips.
Yeah, at least I learned that motion detectors do not pick up ghosts.
Right.
There we go.
Well, I want to thank you, Gary, for your time, and don't hang up. I want to say goodbye to you off the air. Our very first guest just said bye, and he just clicked. But I want to thank you for your time, Gary, and Ruel. Thanks for I guess sitting on mute mostly.
Yeah.
But
thanks,
more
Gary.
importantly, capturing the recording of this podcast.
That's what I do.
Yeah, you want to close us out, Ru?
Well, thanks everybody. This concludes another episode of the Service Guys podcast. If you like what you hear, that sounds familiar. Follow the podcast. Subscribe and leave a rating and review on iTunes and Google Podcasts and all that good stuff. We're on social as Service Guys Pod on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. And Lonnie,
this has been Lonnie Beecham with Restore Restoration, and I want to tell you, get your life back to normal.